This is one of the most egregious cases I've ever had. When you shoot and murder your mother, the woman that brought you into this world, and your sister, you're going to spend the rest of your natural life in prison. Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done.
This is ridiculous for me, not for you. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country.
Next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice.
Some indication as to what the conflict. No, you didn't. Bond revoked. We're done. Bond revoked. Bond.
Judge Sterling watched him leave. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. She simply nodded to her legal team, stood up, and walked out the front doors, the same doors she'd been dragged through just months before. This time, the officers on duty saluted her as she passed. The message had been sent loud and clear. The law applies to everyone, especially those who carry a badge. Miller thought he was above the law, but he found out the hard way that justice is blind. But it isn't deaf, and it heard every word he said. $8.5 million. That is a life-changing amount of money. But for Sierra Sterling, this victory was never about the cash. It was about sending a message that money simply cannot buy. In a final act of grace that silenced her critics once and for all, Judge Sterling didn't keep a single cent of that settlement. Instead, she used every penny to establish a legal defense fund for low-income citizens who have been victims of wrongful arrest and police brutality. She turned her own trauma into a shield for those who don't have a gavel or a robe to protect them. This story serves as a brutal, necessary wake-up call. Officer Miller's downfall wasn't caused by bad luck. It wasn't caused by a misunderstanding. It was caused by arrogance. He looked at a woman of immense power and dignity, but his prejudice acted like a blindfold. He saw what he wanted to see, a target, rather than what was actually there. As Judge Sterling famously said in her final press conference, prejudice blinded you so severely that you couldn't recognize justice even when she was standing right in front of you. Let this be a warning to anyone who holds a position of authority. A badge, a uniform, or a title is not a license to bully. It is a heavy responsibility. In today's world, where every street corner has a camera and every citizen has a smartphone, there are no shadows left to hide in. If you abuse your power, the truth will come out. The world is watching. And as Derek Miller found out, life comes at you fast. He thought he was a hunter, but because of his own hubris, he became the prey. Whatever you do, never judge a book by its cover. You never know who you are talking to. The person you treat with disrespect today might be the one holding the gavel at your trial tomorrow. Treat everyone with dignity, not because of who they are, but because of who you are. If you enjoyed seeing justice served ice cold, please destroy that like button. It tells YouTube that you want to see more truth exposed. And if you think Officer Miller deserved to lose his pension, type justice in the comments down below right now. I want to see a wall of support for Judge Sterling. Do not click away yet. If you thought this story was shocking, you won't believe what happened in the next video. A billionaire CEO goes undercover as a janitor in his own company to catch a corrupt manager stealing wages from employees. And the firing scene is absolutely legendary. Click the video on your screen right now. You do not want to miss this one. I will see you there.
Been excluded in a pretrial order. You better ask the court. You better get permission. This is ridiculous.
It wasn't excluded, Your Honor.
But eventually, the jury came back with their verdict.
The defendant will rise and face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled?
Rittenhouse almost fainted with relief when he heard his sentence.
The bruises. Some of the bruises were in the shape of a belt bust. I ain't gonna let you sit here say no crazy about me, man. Like in the case of Elise Ortiz Neves, who's facing charges for felony murder and first-degree child abuse in Grand Rapids, Michigan. On June 13th, 2017, Ortiz was babysitting his girlfriend's 7 children when he realized one of them, 4-year-old Giovanni, wasn't breathing. Kent County Sheriff's Department says that he was watching 7 kids this morning who live here at this house on Green Meadow Street Southeast. Deputies received a call about a 4-year-old who was not breathing. He was rushed to the hospital where he later died from blunt force trauma. At the hospital, doctors found evidence of child abuse, 2 broken ribs, cigarette burns, and bruises in various stages of healing. In court, Ortiz came face to face with the cold, hard truth. You beat this child, you bruised this child, and you tortured this child. However, Ortiz maintained his innocence. I'm going to continue to say I will take a lie detective test to prove that I never abused any of Sonia's kids, or never Giovanni, and never intentionally meant to hurt Giovanni, but to help him. The judge didn't believe him. There's no question whatsoever that you committed this murder and that you beat this little boy to death. I ain't gonna let you sit here say no crazy about me, man. No, man, cause he don't even know, man. Sir, the testimony showed that you put this child and other child in a shower with ice cold water. The judge tried to maintain order, but Ortiz was out for blood. They took 3 deputies, but Ortiz was eventually overpowered. After that, the judge called him back to hear his sentence. You are the lowest form of human life that I've been able to observe or see. You are a monster, and quite frankly, you are evil. What you did was sickening and disgusting. We're done. Take him to prison, please. Ortiz was sentenced to life without parole. Ortiz Neves was outraged and looked like he was ready to fight the judge. But how does that compare to a lawyer who actually did fight the judge?
The judge called him back to hear his sentence.
You are the lowest form of human life that I've been able to observe or see. You are a monster, and quite frankly, you are evil. What you did was sickening and disgusting. We're done. Take him to prison, please.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just next. We go to More Justice Center in Brevard County, Florida, where public defender Andrew Weintock and his client are appearing before Judge John Murphy. You're Mr. WRLS. Yes, sir. 2 charges: assault and resisting. You have the public defender. Public defender. What do you want to do? Could they file? They have. I'm not waiving. Since the court already had a packed schedule, Judge Murphy wanted the defendant to waive his right to a fast trial. All right. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I'm not waiving. If you want to set up for trial, set up for trial. All right. If you want to set up for docket hunting, set for docket hunting. I'm not waiving, in any tensions in the courtroom reached an all-time high when public defender Weintock refused to budge. This is an emergency. If I had a rock, I would throw it at you right now. Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help. I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand. See, moments earlier, Weintock had a confrontation with Judge Murphy while representing another client. Is Mr. Rodriguez public defender? What do you want to do? Talk about him tomorrow. Your discretion. Well, it's going to expire before I can get them in. So, my emergency question. You want to set it for trial? You can set it for trial if you want to set up for trial instead. Sure. Well, you want I'm not waiving. That's if the question is, am I waiving? The answer is just saying, okay, I'm not waiving. I don't care. I don't care either. Or not. You just need to set it for a date. Well, normally we go to docket town after that. If you want to go to trial, we'll set up for trial. That's fine. All right. Speedy truck. However, what Judge Murphy suggested next was never heard of in a courtroom before. If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just. Incredibly, both Weintock and Judge Murphy went to the back of the courtroom and actually had a physical altercation. Courtroom microphones pick up. What happens next? All right, he backed me up. He had me pinned to the wall with his right arm, and he brought his left hand back in a fist. Then he punched me in the face, hitting me here. After a while, Judge Murphy returned to the courtroom alone. Thank you. I lost it. Man, I'm an old man. Later, the incident was investigated by Florida's Judicial Qualifications Commission, and Judge Murphy was charged with misconduct. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court, which ordered Judge Murphy to be immediately suspended and permanently removed from his post. Weinstock later resigned from his position at the public defender's office. While Judge John Murphy ruined his career by fighting a lawyer, how does it compare to threatening to kill a judge? Tobias Roman, lower seat. Like in the case of 27-year-old Tobias Roman, who was facing multiple felony charges in Bakersfield, California, threatening with the intent to terrorize, exhibiting a deadly weapon other than a firearm, and stalking. 3 days earlier, Roman was arrested after he allegedly tried to rob a mall employee and threatened to kill her with a knife. Today, Roman was facing Judge Charles R. Bremer, and right off the bat, things went off to a rough start. Robin, stand up. I can't stand up right now. My right hand. Stand up what? This is BF 140. After the defendant was on his feet, Judge Bremer started proceedings. Mr. Roman, what is your true correct name? Tobias, my first name. That's it. Gay or Tobias. That's it. Don't call me nothing else. At this time, I will appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Roman. The charges, Mr. Roman, are attempted robbery. Mr. Roman, you need to be quiet. Yeah, you need to be quiet. Judge Bremer gave Roman a final warning. The defiant defendant refused to budge. You have one more chance, and then you're going to be removed from the courtroom, and that'll be your choice. All right, you need to leave. As he was being removed from the courtroom, Roman had one final comment for the judge. I admitted for the record, Mr. Roman's statement on the record, that he will murder me if he sees me and request law enforcement to take the appropriate action. Tobias Roman was later charged with threatening a public official and sentenced to 8 months in prison, while a defendant threatened to murder the judge. In this next case, one lawyer
For the judge.
I'd like to note to the record, Mr. Roman's statement on the record that he will murder me if he sees me, and I'm going to request law enforcement to take the appropriate action.
Childish behavior leaves the judge speechless. When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking. This is Melissa McNeil, who's defending Nicholas Cruz in the infamous Parkland school shooting case. In 2018, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz had a deadly plan. You're all going to die. Cruz entered Stoneman Douglas High School with a gun hidden in his guitar case. Cruz opened fire in the first floor hallway of Building 12. Oh my God, photos and videos from the shooting flooded social media. Holy, oh my God, while surveillance video showed what was happening outside, but by then 14 students were already dead and others were seriously injured. I have the gunshot victim. I have the gunshot victim. Just hours after the carnage, Cruz was arrested and charged with 17 counts of premeditated first-degree murder. In court, Cruz acted more or less composed. It was his defense team that was the problem. During active trial, the defense team talked, shouted, laughed, and even flipped the middle finger at the judge and the victims' families. The judge wouldn't stand for it. It's got to stop. This is a courtroom. It needs to run like a courtroom. It's become somewhat of a playground. Okay, I don't want anyone talking back and forth to one another. It's inappropriate. You all know better than that. Don't do it. She reprimanded them in front of the entire courtroom. I don't want any further rude or disrespectful behavior. It's gotten quite out of control. But if you thought the defense team would rethink their behavior, think again. One morning, the court geared up for the first of many witnesses brought forth by the defense. But the second court was in session. Defense lawyer Melissa McNeil dropped a bomb. Yes, at this time, the defense rests other than putting in our records. During each trial motion, both the defense and the prosecution have the floor to speak. When they're finished speaking, they rest, meaning in this case that the defense has no witnesses to bring. We're not playing chess. I mean, will you please take the jury back in? Thank you. All right, go ahead and bring your records. The judge is irate, and for good reason. The entire day was supposed to be dedicated to hearing the defense's witness. Apparently, they had none. I just want to say this is the most uncalled for, unprofessional way to try a case. You all knew about this, and even if you didn't make your decision till this morning to have 22 people plus all of the staff and every attorney march into court be waiting, as if it's some kind of game, now I have to send them home. The state's not ready. They're not going to have a witness ready. We have another day wasted. Honestly, I have never experienced a level of unprofessionalism in my career. It is unbelievable. McNeil got upset at the judge's words, and she wasn't afraid to show it. I have been practicing in this county for you know what? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Judge, you're insulting me on the record in front of my client, and I believe that I should be able to, okay, you can do that later. You can make your record later. But you've been insulting me the entire trial. So blatantly take your headphones off, arguing with me. I'm storming out, coming late intentionally if you don't like my rulings. So quite frankly, this has been long overdue. Despite the tension between the judge and the defense team, Cruz's case went forward as scheduled. This is the moment Cruz learned his sentence. The court imposes a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Cruz got life in prison for all 17 murder charges. After the trial, McNeil and the judge parted ways without further incident. Luckily for McNeil, this judge didn't hold her in contempt for her audacity. How does it compare to throwing a defendant of court? Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done, like in the case of Stan Roby, who is facing charges of double murder in Saginaw, Michigan. This is one of the most egregious cases I've ever had. When you shoot and murder your mother, you are the woman that brought you into this world and your sister. A year earlier, Roby allegedly murdered his mother, Lelody King, and 11-year-old sister, Cheria, inside their Saginaw home. Police said King suffered 2 fatal gunshot wounds to the back of her head, while her daughter was shot 2 times in the face before Roby dragged her body inside and shot her for a 3rd time. The 22-year-old was arrested and charged with 6 felony charges, including 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. Roby pled not guilty and represented himself at trial. He was also made to wear a stun vest after police found multiple shanks in his jail cell. During the trial, a friend of Cheria testified that Roby had threatened to kill the victims just days before the shootings. After Roby rested his case, the jurors took 30 minutes to reach a verdict. Guilty, first degree. Premeditated murder of Charlie's guilty of first degree premeditated. Murder of late. At sentencing, Roy's grandmother took the stand and addressed her killer grandson. My grandson, Stephen Roby, has been found guilty of being responsible for the deaths of 2 of the most vulnerable, non-threatening people in his life, his mother and his little sister. But in spite of his terrible crime, his mother would still want him to receive the mental health treatment that he so adamantly rejected in the past. When Roby got a chance to apologize, he chose to complain and throw accusations at Judge Fred Borchard. And I feel as though that most of my motions didn't get because you were distracting. Well, that is totally untrue. Well, when she was on the stand, your phone kept going off a couple times and you kept asking her, was it her phone? When I came into the courtroom, I seen you on the phone, not while the court was in session. Okay, but your phone was still going off and you were still distracted by the phone call. That is untrue. That is totally untrue. And that has nothing to do with the has something to do with. Do you have anything you want to tell me in regards to this sentence? Guess I already involved in my mistrial because I'm denied after denying his mistrial plea. Judge Borchard threw the defendant out of the courtroom. This is one of the most egregious cases I've ever had. When you shoot and murder your mother, the woman that brought you into this world and your sister, and you're going to spend the rest of your natural life in prison. Hopefully someday you'll think about that. Get him out of here. I'm done. Ultimately, Stan Roby was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for murdering his mother and sister. Stephen Roby wanted a mistrial because he felt Judge Borchard wasn't paying attention during trial and sentenced him unfairly. But sometimes the killer isn't mad he got sentenced. He's mad it wasn't.